Right, let's bring in some reaction now, crossing over to reporter Samkelo Maseko, who's at the media briefing. Very good evening to you, Samkelo. We heard the MK party challenging the outcome of the results, turning to the electoral court. Surely this move doesn't come as a surprise.
It certainly doesn't come as a surprise that the MK party is going to the electoral courts to try and essentially rule that these elections are not free and fair, and that South Africa must go for a re-election. But the former president Jacob Zuma saying that they will not only be going to the judges locally within the country at the electoral court, but they will also be going to international courts in order to try and get these particular elections in South Africa to be declared not free and fair, particularly saying that they will be going to the Human Rights Court internationally, and also looking at matters of how they can get him back on the roll of the MK party to go to the National Assembly, saying that is unconstitutional, and that judges within the country take decisions based on emotions and not facts.
We also heard the former president hitting out quite a bit at the media and journalists. I mean, even going as far as if he was a journalist, this is the kind of article he would put down. And of course, around the selling, the notion of the government of national unity, he says he's asked the MK party legal counsel to now write a letter of demand to the SABC to stop it from what he refers to as deliberately misleading South Africans. What's your take on that?
Indeed, the former president is basically saying that there's no government of national unity, because in order to form a government of national unity, there has to be violence and war within the country, using the scenario of the 1994 elections and how a government of national unity was formed with the National Party, where F.W. de Klerk became a president. That was a government of transition within the country. So in essence, he is trying to replicate South Africa's high political climate at the time that was infused by political violence, where the ANC and the IFP had war with one another in KwaZulu-Natal, the high tensions that were there between those who had been disenfranchised and those who had been marginalized and neglected and oppressed by the apartheid regime, to the current contemporary economic political situation within the country, and asking, why is this a government of national unity when there is only the signature of Fikile Mbalula, the SG of the ANC, and the Federal Executive Council chairperson of the Democratic Alliance, Helen Zille, if this is a government of national unity? And basically saying that the ANC of Ramaphosa must no longer be seen as a solution to the country's problems, but it must be seen as part of the enemy. But in essence, the former president is essentially calling for the unity of so-called leftist black organizations, whom he says are now the official opposition of this coalition of the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, calling the government of national unity nonsense.
It was quite interesting that when he spoke about really not missing his words on the government of national unity, he made mention of the statement speaking in his capacity as an ANC member, which was, quite strange, given the fact that he's at an MK party media briefing.
Jacob Zuma is not a member of the ANC at this point in time. We need to clarify that point and be factual about it. He is a suspended member of the ANC. His membership has been suspended. It's been halted pending disciplinary processes. So he's not an active member of the party at this point in time, which is what the facts present to us. Hence, you have seen him particularly campaigning for the MK party. Is very clear that there is love lost between him and Cyril Ramaphosa, who was the president of the ANC, dating back to the ANC conference in 2017, where Cyril Ramaphosa was elected as president, and ultimately Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma lost out. So there is a huge tension between the ANC and the MK party, particularly knowing that the MK party has eaten into the ANC's base in KwaZulu-Natal. For instance, if you look at the ANC's coalition framework, it says that the biggest party should be given first preference to form government. The MK feels as if the ANC should have given it first preference to form government in KwaZulu-Natal, and says that was not done because of underhand tactics that were employed by the ANC's provincial leadership in KwaZulu-Natal. But that provincial leadership did not act on its own. Just like the provincial leadership of the ANC in Gauteng, they acted under a mandate from the ANC's National Working Committee and ultimately officials of the party and the NEC.
Without announcing a specific day and date, Zuma confirmed that party members would occupy seats in the National Assembly. Talk to us a little bit about the build-up to that.
The MK party did boycott the first sitting of the National Assembly. They did not attend. They did go to the provincial legislatures where they have public representatives. In KwaZulu-Natal, where they are the largest party, they did have all of their 37 members of parliament in that legislature. They did field two candidates, Mervyn Dix for the position of speaker, who lost out against Nontombeko Boyce of the ANC for the speaker of the position of the legislature in KwaZulu-Natal. You also did see them field Nkosi Phatsisiwe Chiliza as the premier candidate, who lost out against the IFP's premier candidate, Tami Ntuli. So they did participate in the provincial legislature. They did contest. One wonders what they will do next week when Tami Ntuli is officially inaugurated as the premier of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and where he is ultimately meant to publicize his provincial executive committee or cabinet that will ultimately lead the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Very well, Sabgele Maseko, they're giving us a breakdown of some of the outcomes of this media briefing this evening with the MK leadership there talking about some of their concerns around the government of national unity.